Greetings, Lumen students. It's your week 9, your Tuesday video. Let's play a mind reader game really quick to get started. I'm thinking of a word. I'm going to give you 5 clues to see if you can guess what word is on my mind. If you've got a scrap piece of paper and a pencil, get that out and you can see if you can figure it out in 1 clue, 2 clues, 3 clues, 4 clues, or 5 clues. Here's your very first clue. It is one of our spelling words this week. Sorry, I know I've always got to start that way. Number 2. It is a homonym with just one partner, okay? Meaning it's not one of the 3. Okay, that there's 3 homonym sets. It's just one with 2. So if you guessed one of the words that has 3, and it's, it's triple trio, words that sound the same, you gotta guess again. Come up with another one that would fit with clue number 2. Number 3, it starts with a consonant. So if you chose this one, sorry, you're out of luck. Is that it? Guess again. Okay. Clue number 4. So it ends in a vowel, but its partner does not. It ends in a vowel, but its partner does not. Okay. So that eliminated a couple, didn't it? Like these 2. And number 5 clue, I'm going to be reading to you the story, The Gingerbread Baby, today. And Maddie could make a special part of the gingerbread house using a melted Jolly Rancher candy to allow to create this word for the gingerbread house. Okay, that's my clue. Make a part of the gingerbread house. You could melt a Jolly Rancher candy and it would become this. What in the heck am I talking about? What is in my mind? Pane. Window pane. Right? You could have a window pane in your gingerbread house. It's got to be made of candy though. Hey, did anyone guess pane? Awesome. You did great. So it ends in a vowel. Its partner does not. Starts with a consonant. So you really can. You can try this. They're called stained glass windows. If you get some sugar cookie dough and you can roll it into a rope, then you lay it out on your cookie sheet with a kind of a hole in the middle. Like you just put it out in a rectangular shape, or you could do a diamond shape, or you could do a square or whatever. And then you put a piece of Jolly Rancher, unwrapped a Jolly Rancher just in the center where it's like nothing. It's just laying on the cookie sheet. Well, you stick it in the oven and that melts and it like sticks to the sugar cookie dough, and you pull it out and it's like a window pane. It's like a stained glass window that's yellow or green or blue or whatever your Jolly Rancher is. It's really cool. And it makes a window pane. Right. Let's get going on Gingerbread Baby. Since I was talking about that, this is our preposition story for this morning. And if you've got use that same scratch piece of paper that you did the mind reader on. I want you to number from 1 to 10. Because you are going to be trying to write down, and maybe I'll make me bigger. 10 prepositions as you read about this gingerbread baby, okay? 10 prepositions that describes what the baby does, okay? His reactions, his relationship with the other things, the nouns in the story. Find 10. I'll help you with the first couple. It was cold outside. It was warm inside. It's a fine day for gingerbread, Maddie thought. Maddie's mother put the big blue bowl on the table and lit the stove. Maddie took down a worn-looking cookbook with old-fashioned writing on the cover. He opened it up to the page that said Gingerbread Boy. They measured and mixed. Maddie rolled the dough into the shape of a gingerbread boy, and they popped him in the oven. Bake a full 8 minutes, no more, no less. Do not peek, the recipe read. Maddie listened to the clock. Tick, tock, tick. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3, 4, 5. Maddie couldn't wait any longer. He opened the oven door to take a peek, and instead of a gingerbread boy, out jumped a gingerbread baby. He pranced around the big blue bowl. I'm the gingerbread baby, fresh from the pan. If you want me, catch me if you can. Maddie's mother reached for the gingerbread baby to put him back into the oven, but he ran all around the kitchen. The door opened and in came Maddie's father. What is that delicious smell, he asked, as the gingerbread baby tumbled through his legs and outside into the yard. There's 3 or 4 prepositional phrases that describe what the baby is doing right now. Ran around the kitchen, right? We've got around. We don't, but we should. So around is a preposition. Okay, what else have we got? Through his legs. I think we definitely had through here. Through his legs and into the yard. Into the yard. So there's 3 options for you of what the gingerbread baby is doing. Looking for 7 more. There's Dad. He ran by the tabby cat. Yes, I have a by. This list here is just the most commonly used prepositions, students. So there's many more, but and I think you've seen a list in your action items this week as well. She twitched her tail and sprang at him. They rumbled and tumbled, but the gingerbread baby came out on top. You're not looking for the verbs. Okay, you're not using words like rumbled or tumbled. Okay, that's what the gingerbread baby is doing. That's an action verb. You're looking for where he's doing it. Okay, what the connection is with where he's going. He ran toward, so not ran, but toward the garden wall. The dog caught a whiff of tasty ginger and sniffed along behind him. I'm sorry, I keep giving it away by emphasizing the prepositions. I promise I'm going to just read normally from now on. You find them, okay? The gingerbread baby was halfway up when the dog caught up. He barked and barked as the gingerbread baby climbed, not climbed, over the wall. Climbed is the verb. Over the wall is the preposition, the prepositional phrase. Good job. Maddie was still inside. He heard his mother and father yelling. He heard a cat meowing and a dog barking. And he heard the gingerbread baby shouting, "Catch me if you can." Maddie opened up the worn-looking cookbook for the 2nd time. Meanwhile, the gingerbread baby wheeled on down the path and into the barn. The ghost looked up as he somersaulted across their backs. The last one tried to catch him, but the gingerbread baby was too fast. Martha and Madeline were standing by the well when the gingerbread baby stopped to take a drink. They looked at each other and winked. Martha started to talk to him while Madeline tiptoed up behind him with a bucket. But they couldn't fool that gingerbread baby. He took a braid from Martha and a braid from Madeline and tied them in a knot and ran down the road. Back in the house, Maddie stirred, mixed, and rolled the dough. He shaped it, put in the pan, and into the oven. Tick, tock, tick. 8 long minutes, and this time he didn't peek. I'll catch him if I can, Matty said to himself. As he was bouncing along, the gingerbread baby saw a farm wagon just ahead. He jumped in and settled down for the ride next to a mama pig. The smell of gingerbread was too much for her. She tossed him high in the air, closed her eyes, and opened her mouth. But the gingerbread baby twisted in the air and came down hard on her porky snout. I'm the gingerbread baby, too quick for the mother and the father, too fast for the cat, the dog, and the goats, too clever for Martha and Madeline, and too smart for the mama pig. Who's left? Catch me if you can. Feeling smug, the gingerbread baby strolled along by himself until he came to a bridge that crossed over to the village. Just as he got to the middle, he heard running feet behind him, and he saw a crowd of villagers ahead of him. The gingerbread baby was trapped. He jumped up onto the railing, backflipped through the air, and landed on a chunk of ice floating down the river. Can you see him? Woohoo! There he goes. The ice bobbed along with the gingerbread baby dancing on top and singing in a loud voice, "Look at me! What do you see? The best gingerbread baby ever!" Until he got his feet cold and he jumped ashore. Who was that watching from the tree? It was the fox. He crept up behind the gingerbread baby, ready to eat him, but the fox couldn't help himself. He licked his chops. Smack, smack. And the gingerbread baby heard him and ran as fast as he could. Just when the fox was catching up, the gingerbread baby saw the milk and cheese man with his can of milk. The perfect hiding place, he thought. He lifted the lid and lowered himself inside. He was so pleased that he sang at the top of his gingerbread voice, "Ha ha, hee hee, you'll never find me. I'm the gingerbread baby. Catch me if you can." The milk and cheese man heard the gingerbread baby's voice. "Who is meddling with my milk?" he shouted, and he lifted the lid. Well, the gingerbread baby was ready. He jumped up and tweaked his nose. Now the milk and cheese man, the fox, the villagers, the mama pig, Martha and Madeline, the bleating goats, the barking dog, the meowing cat, the father and the mother were all after the gingerbread baby and getting closer. And he knew it. The brash baby was not as peppy and proud as he had been. He sniffed a familiar smell and followed his nose into the woods. He couldn't believe what he saw. There in the middle of the clearing was a gingerbread house, frosted with sugar, covered with candy, doors with peppermint handles wide open. The gingerbread baby clapped his hands with glee and ran inside. There we got some window panes made of candy, I'm thinking. In a tick-tock-tick, everyone arrived in the clearing, but all they found were a few bits of frosting, a peppermint candy, and some crumbs. The father explained, "The gingerbread baby has finally met his match." "I wonder who it was," the mother said. "Let's go home and tell Matty." "Hello, Matty," his father said when they got home. "We never did catch that gingerbread baby. All we found were some crumbs in the snow." "I see you've been busy," his mother said, looking at the gingerbread house Matty was holding. "But too bad we never caught the gingerbread baby." "Too bad," said Matty. Only Matty could hear the tiny voice from inside the gingerbread house. "I'm the little gingerbread baby, lucky as can be, to be living in this house that Matty made for me." The end. A little sassy thing. Someone should have gobbled him up. All right, did you get lots of prepositional phrases? I think you easily found them. Let's just kind of review. So, inside the house, into the woods, where else did he go? Down the river, on a chunk of ice, onto the railing, through the air, ahead of him. There's lots of prepositions that you could have identified, students, and I'm sure you probably did. Let's continue with our history studies by learning about another Roman consul or king by the name of Cincinnatus. Okay, he's kind of a great example, actually. Kind of a little bit different from Romulus and Remus. him. Once upon a time, Cincinnatus was a consul of Rome. Okay? So what is a consul? So Rome was frustrated with its kings because the kings had become tyrants who did whatever they wanted. Instead, they had two rulers called consuls, and each consul was supposed to keep the other one from getting too much power. Okay? So Cincinnatus was one of these consuls. But he lost his wealth and he had to retire from his high position to become a farmer instead. He spent his days planting wheat and tending grapes. But he was so wise and well-loved that the Romans came to him from all over to ask for his advice. So Rome at this point had grown to become the strongest city in the world. But one day Rome heard disturbing news. A tribe of barbarians was headed towards Rome, burning and plundering everything in their path. They had sworn to conquer Rome and kill all of its people. Well, the Romans weren't afraid yet. After all, the Roman army was the best in the world, so they sent out their most skillful soldiers to stop the barbarians. The soldiers rode out of Rome splendid in their shining armor, their scarlet cloaks. The women and the children were cheering, "Come back in glory and triumph. Come back in victory." They waited and waited and waited. Finally, they saw dust in the distance, and horsemen were approaching the city. What had happened to the amazing Roman army? Only 5 dirty, blood-stained horses returned with soldiers almost dying on their backs. They galloped through the gates into the center of the city and told their story, gasping with pain and weariness. "The barbarians are too strong for us. They attacked us at a narrow mountain pass. We're surrounded. They came at us from behind and from ahead." There we go with some prepositions again. "Meanwhile, they threw rocks at us from the hills above. Send help to our army at once. We're under siege. Rome is going to fall." The Senate was terrified. "All of our best soldiers are already gone. What are we going to do? We have only a few boys left and no one to lead them into battle." Cincinnatus was out working in his fields when suddenly all these senators approached. "Cincinnatus, we need you. You're our only hope. You can lead the boys into battle." Cincinnatus returned to the city with them and became the leader of these reinforcements. He took these boys and marched with them towards to rescue the Roman army. And along the way, he taught them how to fight. He was so wise and crafty that this troop of young boys beat off the barbarians, drove them back to the mountains, and brought the rest of the Roman army home. They marched back into Rome with trumpets blaring and people cheering. "Be our king, Cincinnatus. We will give you all power. You can do whatever you want." But Cincinnatus took off his armor and gave his banner back to the Senate. "No," he said, "Rome doesn't need a king. I give all my power back to the senators. You should make the laws." And he went back to his fields and his grapes, leaving the Senate in charge of Rome. Okay? So that's kind of the beginning, isn't it, of like a 4-year term of office or something, where you serve for a period of time and then you are done. And it's someone else's turn. So unlike a king or someone else who has this great power and has it forever, Cincinnatus was a great example in Roman history. All right, let's continue with a little bit of reading about Eben's search for some of the wonders that might be available in Sassafras Springs. Wait, think about that for a second. Do you have any wonders in Orem or Pleasant Grove or Linden or Spanish Fork or Springville, Mapleton, wherever you live, American Fork? Are there any wonders hiding around? Anything that would inspire awe, wonder, amazement? I don't know. You think Eben has a chance of finding anything cool in Missouri? A town that's not even a dot on the map? I don't know. Let's keep reading. Day 1. The next morning didn't seem that different from any other Wednesday in July. Up at first light, I stepped out on the porch and stared across the yard. out of the fields, the orchard, and beyond, and I didn't see a thing that would impress an Egyptian. I fed Murph and Pat while Pa milked Mabel and Mert, and then we harnessed the horses and headed straight to the fields. But that year, which was 1923, a few farmers had tractors. But Pa said the problem with machines was that when you said, "Whoa!" they kept on going, unlike Murph and Pat. I knew it'd be foolish to look for wonders on our own land. I'd been up and down the rows of corn and beans so often, I knew every clump of dirt. While I weeded, I did come up with a plan of how to start my search. Oh, I lost my spot, sorry. When you're plowing or mowing, you start at the beginning of one row and you go all the way to the end. And then you move up the next row to the end and so on. That's how I'd go looking for wonders. Up one country lane and down the next until I'd covered all of Sassafras Springs. 7 days should be enough time. Still, I wasn't convinced that I'd find anything awe-inspiring. In the late afternoon, Pa gave me a break from chores. That alone could have been counted as a wonder in my book, though I didn't say it out loud. He might have called off the deal altogether, and I wasn't about to let that happen. I stuffed the writing tablet in my back pocket. Sal and I walked out to Yellow Dog Road. That's what they call the wide strip of dirt that goes straight down the middle of Sassafras Springs. In winter, it's as slick as glass. In spring and fall, it turns to mush. And in summer, it's plain yellow dirt. So dusty, I could taste it. "I got a plan, Sal," I announced. Sal wasn't much interested in plans. She let her nose lead her where it would, usually toward the nearest squirrel or rabbit. Across the road, I could see a group of farms up on a rocky ridge midway up Redhead Hill. There were a couple more in the valley below. On our side of the road was our place, 3 other farms, and the community church. If you went all the way down Yellow Dog Road, you'd connect with Country Road, a 2-lane highway that brought the occasional traveler or salesman to town. My best friend Jeb and I used to sit at that crossroads when we were younger, waiting for something interesting to come along, like an automobile or a circus wagon. Once when we were 8, a city fellow in a straw hat and red suspenders stopped and asked us for directions. He was traveling downstate to attend the College of Mines and Metallurgy. Didn't that sound like a fine place? Folks sitting around studying gold and silver all day? Jeb and I talked about it all summer, rolling that name around, College of Mines and Metallurgy. Just think about that. The most exciting thing that's ever happened to you is a stranger coming to ask you for directions. At the crossroads of the county road and Yellow Dog lay a scattering of stores and houses. It wasn't much of a town, though there was talk of building a community hall. It was just talk, Pa said. On the other side of the county road ran Liberty Creek. That was a good place to swim, skip stones, fish, and float a small boat if you watched out for rocks and didn't mind the occasional snake. Wild sassafras grew along the banks, and upstream a spring fed the creek. It's not too hard to figure out how our town got its name. Standing there in the middle of Yellow Dog Road, I could see plenty of land, but nothing more wonderful than barns and silos. "Maybe we need some company," I told Sal. "No use doing this all alone." We walked down to the Austins to see if Jeb wanted to come along. Even though his family's farm was next to ours, it was still a hike to get there. Dusty, their big brown dog, ran up to greet Sal and me and led us to the vegetable patch where Jeb was riding herd on a whole pack of Austins. Okay, we're gonna, stop there. And we'll continue even search as we go along. I think that's it, students. Good luck working again on your action items, and we'll catch you again tomorrow. Thank you.